Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. This is arguably the biggest week in Chelsea's recent history. This weekend coming, we could finish back in the Champions League places. And the Premier League table, it could not be any tighter. If I pull it up on the screen for you guys here, we are fourth right now. Level third with Newcastle on 66, but also level fifth with Aston Villa on 66. And then Man City, who play Bournemouth tomorrow, and Nottingham Forest on 65. It's unprecedented. It's going to be an absolute roller coaster ride next weekend. So make sure you are subscribed to the George Benson Football Channel because we are going to end the season strong on GBFC. And I'm praying that if the league finished right now and Chelsea finished fourth, I would be absolutely over the moon. Yes, it isn't a Premier League title, but at the start of the season, if you'd have said to me, Chelsea are going to be in a final and back in the Champions League for the following season, I'd have taken it all day long. So, in this video, I'm going to break down all of the matches that are happening this weekend. We're going to look at Man City's fixtures, Newcastle, Villa, Forest, obviously, they're playing against us. We're going to start to build this game up a little bit. But also, I want to outline exactly what we need to know when it comes to Premier League clubs trying to secure UEFA Champions League, Europa, or Conference League football. The race to secure places in the 25-26 Champions League, Europa, and Conference League is one of the most exciting and difficult to predict in Premier League history. This is actually exciting. If you're a neutral fan, you are looking at this table and you're thinking, I might tune into the football this weekend because anything can happen. And if you look at the recent form, Newcastle, 2 wins in their last 5. Arsenal the same, but Arsenal are now in the Champions League, so they're done. Chelsea with 4 wins in 5. Aston Villa the same. Man City the same. And Nottingham Forest, who have kind of fallen off a little bit, but they won again. 2-1 away at West Ham last night. Watched the game. Didn't think Forest were that good, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's take a little look here. So Crystal Palace obviously won the FA Cup at the weekend. Credit to them. Well done. And they will be in Europe next season as well in the Europa League. The top 7 clubs are guaranteed to be playing in Europe next season, but only the top 5 will get a Champions League spot, and there is all to play for as there is only 1 point separating the 5 clubs ranked from 3rd to 7th. This is the table again. It's honestly, I can't believe it is this close. Newcastle currently ahead of Chelsea by 2 goals difference better, and we are 11 ahead of Aston Villa. So theoretically, Chelsea beat Nottingham Forest, we're in the Champions League, unless Aston Villa beat Man United by a Premier League record scoreline, which the way that United have been playing, wouldn't put it past them, but it's not going to happen. So I think realistically, the only thing that we need to focus on is beating Nottingham Forest. If that doesn't happen, then it's going to be a disaster. Because there's not going to be, for me at least, there can't be any, the Europa League's better than the Conference League. We're happy with that. We've been in and around the Champions League places all season. If we don't get over the line now, you've got to start looking back at the Ipswich 4 points drops, the 0-0 away at Brentford where we didn't really test them that much. So many points have been dropped this season in games that we should have won. More big chances missed, I think, than most teams in the Premier League as well. It's outrageous how many. But we are in the fight. We're absolutely in the fight. Let's take a look further down. How do teams qualify for European competitions? 6 clubs in next season's Champions League because of Man United and Spurs playing in that Europa League final in 2 days' time. And Liverpool and Arsenal already guaranteed, of course. And Chelsea and Forest playing each other on the final day of the season. These are the remaining fixtures. Arsenal are away at Southampton, but it doesn't matter anymore anyway. Man City. I want to talk about Man City a little bit because they have got Bournemouth and Fulham, who, if you take a look at this table, there is an outside chance that 8th place could still get European football. So Bournemouth and Fulham, technically, their seasons aren't over. It's very unlikely. And I do believe, if we read back here again, Chelsea really are the ones who have any say in this. If Chelsea win the Conference League and finish 6th and Newcastle finish in 7th, which is also unlikely because they're at home to Everton, or Chelsea win the Conference League and Chelsea finish 7th, the Premier League gets an extra team in the Europa League and that would be 10 in European competition. Remember I made that reel that went pretty viral a couple of months ago? I said 11 could, and it could still end up being 10th. So Chelsea, everyone else is going to be looking at us thinking, well, what are Chelsea going to do? But if we do bring up these fixtures one more time, because it is fascinating. Man City at home to Bournemouth tomorrow. I was not impressed by Man City in that FA Cup final. Crystal Palace, I thought, did really well. Yes, City dominated the possession, but there just seems like there's something really missing for Manchester City. And I know that if they win that game in hand, let's say City do beat Bournemouth, they go third, and it pretty much makes it impossible for them to fall out. But Bournemouth and Fulham are really tricky games. I don't think that is as straightforward as you might think. But I do think Man City are going to beat Bournemouth. I don't just want to be overly optimistic here for absolutely no reason. I do think City will beat Bournemouth tomorrow night. And then, on the final day of the season, obviously all of the games are played at the same time. So that watch-along this weekend is going to be the biggest watch-along I think I've ever done on the channel. So, Man City go to Fulham. Not an easy place to go on the final day of the season. Forest and Chelsea obviously playing each other. Aston Villa go to Manchester United. Man United might be in the Champions League by then. Could be a big party at Old Trafford. They could be buoyed from winning the Europa League on Wednesday night or Thursday night, whenever it is. Or they're completely deflated. They're embarrassed. The season's been a disaster. And as a result of that, Aston Villa could go there and destroy them. I'm going to assume that Aston Villa beat Manchester United because realistically, everyone beats Man United in the league at the moment. They're 17th or 16th, whatever it is. They are awful. So I think we've got to expect Aston Villa to win this one. And then the other games, Newcastle at home to Everton. I think that will be pretty straightforward for them. And those are the matches that matter. But Chelsea going to Nottingham Forest. If we take a look at the form in the Premier League table again, 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat in their last 5 games for Nottingham Forest. I said it on a more GBFC video where I predicted the rest of this season a couple of weeks ago. I thought Nottingham Forest were going to fall off a little bit, but I didn't think they were going to fall off enough to not be in with a shout, and they absolutely are in with a shout on the final day of the season. If they beat us, they obviously go ahead of us, and they will finish 2 points ahead of Chelsea. But maybe the fact that they've got 65 points, having only got 1 game to go, that could be the difference maker. Because if we draw at Nottingham Forest, then we definitely finish ahead of Forest, which means then we would be relying on 16th place Man United to beat Aston Villa. So if Aston Villa lose at Old Trafford, then Chelsea can afford to draw against Nottingham Forest, but we cannot go into that game expecting Aston Villa to not beat Manchester United, because Aston Villa's form in the second half of this season has also been incredible. Newcastle the same, and Newcastle at home to Everton. Like, Everton are a really difficult side to beat on any given day. They won yesterday, final game ever at Goodison Park. I think if this game was the other way around, if this was at Goodison and it was the last ever match at Goodison to play Newcastle, I would say that Newcastle have got their work cut out. Everton could actually win that game. But I think Newcastle are going to win it. They've obviously currently got a superior goal difference, so Chelsea would have to win by at least 4 if Newcastle win to go ahead of Newcastle, which Forest don't concede that many goals. I don't think Chelsea are going to win by 4 goals or more, but do I think Chelsea are actually going to win? The answer to that question here at the end of this video is yes. I watched Nottingham Forest yesterday, and I think they're absolutely beatable. I think West Ham had some big chances. Matt Sells, as he has done all season, he's only conceded 45 goals in the Premier League. That is absolutely brilliant. Chelsea's defence is actually better than that. We've been very solid defensively recently, with only 43 goals conceded. We've got 5 more goals than Forest this season, but only 1 point more than them. Nottingham Forest deserve a lot of credit. They've had a magnificent season. I don't think anybody would have anticipated that going into the final game of the season, they could be a Champions League club next season. But wow, it is honestly so difficult to call it. But I think Chelsea have got to go there. And it's so difficult, isn't it? Because we needed to beat Man United, and I wouldn't say we played very well. I know, obviously, revised my opinion in the video the day before yesterday on Saturday, where I was very negative in the 6 things, but it is just about winning. But I think at Forest, because we're going to find it really difficult to play, because they play with that low block, they know exactly how to frustrate Chelsea, and they've got pace on the counters too, which I should be worried about, but I'm not so worried about it. And I've got a question for you guys here in the comments down below, because I feel as though we're going to need to see something that we've not seen before. Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo and Reece James all on the pitch together at the same time. Whether that means Reece James right back, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo pushed up further forward, moving Palmer onto the right wing, and then having one of Madueke or Neto as the striker. I think that's got to happen. I think we saw just how brilliant Reece was, and if Chelsea is struggling to break teams down, which we were against Man United, we need that outlet. We need someone that can see that pass, and Reece James is that guy. And whoever does score for Chelsea, if we win this game, hero, absolute hero. To be back in the Champions League again next season would mean massive progress for the club, massive progress, and credit to Enzo Maresca. As much as people are still very much either really tired about the football or it does need to get better, I think there's a lot more that needs to improve. And I'm certainly not 100% in the, yeah, he's doing a great job, because I don't know if he's doing a great job. I think he's doing a good job. And this weekend, this is everything. Absolutely everything. If we were to finish 7th, lower than what we did last season, we got more points than we did last season, but honestly, it would be an absolute disaster. It would be so difficult for the boys and the players to get their heads back up as well, going into that Europa Conference League final against Real Betis, a really solid team from Spain. So for me, there's nothing other than just win. That is the only thing I'm going to say. We're going to talk about this game, obviously, a lot in the build-up this week. There's going to be a new podcast episode out with Josh tomorrow, where we're going to go into the game a little bit more, what needs to happen, how do we beat Forest. But we've probably got the trickiest task here than anyone, because we're away from home. Newcastle are at home. City have got Fulham, who by that point still could get Europe, but it's very unlikely that 8th place will actually be given a position. But it's so difficult, isn't it? Aston Villa, I think, are going to beat Man United. I'm so sure of that. So we've just got to do our job. What do you think is going to happen? Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. Check out more GBFC. Link in the top of the description too. Uploading there every day again now. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow.